What's up, Jackalopes? I'm Hope, and today I have a little holiday book haul for you. And it's a little because I'm trying not to add too many books to my collection right now. I just don't have the bookshelf space for it, but I did get a few things this holiday season. So, let's get cracking. The first set of books that I picked up were ones that I got while holiday shopping with my boyfriend. He and I are long distance, so I don't get to see him very often, but when he does visit, we always go to this one secondhand bookstore in my town because they have like books and video games and CDs and records and movies and TV, like Blu-ray collections and all kinds of things. So we always go there, and he was looking for stuff for his parents, so I wandered off to go look at books, which I haven't done in a while. I ended up picking up 4 different books. So the first one I got, and I've actually already read, is Cersei by Madeline Miller. I had been hearing really great things about this, and then there was several copies of this on a shelf I was looking at. I was looking for something else, but I found this first, and I absolutely love Greek mythology. I am the biggest mythology nerd I know besides my best friend, so I was really excited to read this. It's a retelling of the story of Cersei, but from her perspective, which I think is really fun. I also really like psychology. I studied psychology and sociology in undergrad, so anything that kind of gets in the head of a character and really develops what it's like to go through their life is really appealing to me. I was really interested to read Cersei because I had heard good things about it and about how it characterizes her, and I really enjoyed this book. I finished it in about 3 days. Absolutely loved it. And I fully agree with all of the other really positive reviews I've been hearing of it lately. So the second book that I picked up is very different. It's an urban fantasy. It's Die and Stay Dead by Nicholas Kaufman. This is the second book in his unfinished Trent trilogy. This series is set in New York City, and it follows a man named Trent who wakes up one day and he has no memory of his past, and he also realizes that he can't die, and because he can't die, he kind of gets dragged into the criminal underworld, which is not his first choice of job, but while working as a part of the criminal underworld, mostly stealing things for other people, because even if he gets shot or something, he's just gonna come back to life, he ends up encountering magic and this whole secret world of monsters and magic and mayhem that exists kind of underneath New York City, and not really underneath, just kind of out of sight. So he encounters that, and through the first book they're trying to find this particular artifact. In this book they're preventing a cult dude whose name I do not remember. Arkwright. A cult dude named Arkwright. They're trying to prevent him from summoning a demon. So it's pretty fast-paced and action-y. I really enjoy this. This is probably one of my favorite fantasy series. It's urban fantasy specifically, and I absolutely love it, and I'm the only person that I know that's read this, so if you read this, please feel free to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what you had to think, especially because nobody I know has anything to say on this because I've never read it, and I can't seem to convince anybody to read it. It's probably because it's unfinished. But if you've read them, please do comment. I really would like to hear somebody else's ideas on it. The next 2 books I got the same day are by the same author, and I can barely fit them in my hands. I've got The Man in the Iron Mask and The Count of Monte Cristo, both by Alexandre Dumas, and I'm just really excited to read these. I've been having trouble finding unabridged copies of his works. I prefer unabridged because I don't like the idea that I'm missing part of a story with an abridged version, and I've been having trouble finding the unabridged versions. But I did manage to find these 2 secondhand. The Man in the Iron Mask is about the Musketeers, that's the wrong direction, the Musketeers trying to break some guy out of prison because he looks like King Louis XIV, and they want to put him on the throne instead. And The Count of Monte Cristo is about a man who was put in prison. There's a lot of prisons in his work, I am realizing, but a man who was put in prison for something he didn't do, who, upon getting out, enacts this massive revenge plot against the people who conspired against him. I've started this one before. I hadn't started The Man in the Iron Mask, but I've started this one before, and I've started The Three Musketeers before. I've never finished one of Dumas' books, primarily because I usually run out of time before I have to take them back to the library. I think specifically with this one that somebody else had a hold on it, so I couldn't just renew it. Ooh, don't fall over. But those are the 4 books I got while Christmas shopping with my boyfriend. The next 3 books were ones that my mom gave me for Christmas, and I was really excited about these. She's got this new thing that she likes to do for gifts, which is something you want, something you need, something to wear, and something to read. So these were the something to read that I got this year. I got The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor Laval, and this one is a retelling of one of H.P. Lovecraft's stories. I can't remember the name of it. It's something Red Hook. I will find the name and put it somewhere over here. I could just reference the book back there that's just H.P. Lovecraft complete fiction, but that would be too easy. So I'll find the name of it and I'll put it on the screen. But it's a retelling of that, but from the perspective of a black man living in Harlem in the 1920s. And I just think that sounds super interesting, because my usual issue with Lovecraft is he's super racist and xenophobic, and I think we all know that. Specifically, it's about a man named Charles Thomas Tester, also known as Black Tom. But basically, he's doing everything he can to try and pay his rent and put food on the table for his family and take care of his father, and ends up getting pulled into the world of the occult through a delivery that he is asked to make. And then the next one is also a retelling. This one is The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein, which is obviously a retelling of Frankenstein, which is one of my favorite books, and definitely one of my favorites that I read for school. I'm super interested to see how this retelling goes, because it's about Elizabeth's time with the Frankenstein family, but from her perspective. And it sounds to me like instead of the monster that Frankenstein builds being the monster, he's kind of the monster, and it's all about her fight to survive. I am trying to, pull more horror to read, because I don't really read a lot of horror, and it's part of one of the goals that I've set myself for 2020, which I will talk about in a later video, but I am trying to read more of that. The last book I got for Christmas is Shut Your Eyes Tight by John Verdon, which is the second book in the Dave Gurney detective series, and basically this takes place a few months after the events of the first book, which is Think of a Number. This one is several months later. A woman is murdered at her wedding, and there is exactly 0 evidence, and they can't think of anyone better to call in but Dave Gurney, because he's super good at puzzles. So that's all I know, and that's all I need to know, because I love mysteries. So the last 2 books are ones I actually bought today. We have a kind of quasi-tradition, which is to go down to my favorite bookstore on Boxing Day. We've done it 2 different years in the last little while. Not last year because we were out of town, but the year before that. We went and I got Chronicle of a Death Foretold by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, which I don't actually have with me at the moment, but I got that and read it in one day. It was fantastic. So this year we went again, and this time I got The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, which, first of all, I like Neil Gaiman. That's all I need to know to want to read this book. But the premise also sounds really interesting, that it's about a man who is returning to his childhood home to attend a funeral, and ends up going back to this pond at the end of the lane that he used to live on, and used to hang out with this girl there, who was, I guess, his friend. She lived down the way. And he starts to remember all these things that happened to him when he was a kid that are, I guess, pretty dark and terrifying based on the little summary. It sounds kind of mysterious, it sounds kind of scary, and I'm here for it. And then the last book I bought is actually a genre I really rarely read. This is The Salt Line by Holly Goddard Jones, and it's a dystopian novel. It's adult dystopian, and it's about a future where the U.S. has shrunk massively and is now surrounded by what's called the Salt Line, which is a barrier of scorched earth, I think is the description, that protects the remnants of U.S. society from some deadly ticks. And some people named Eddie or Edie, I'm not sure, and Wes and Marta these 3 people. I'm confused because it says there's 4 people, but it only names 3, and I don't know if that first name is the pop star or his girlfriend that is listed here. But there's 3 people, and they go on this tour outside of the salt line to go see nature outside of the salt line, and end up embroiled and kind of trapped in this hostage situation in a little community outside of the salt line. And so it's all about the things that they have to do to get back into the salt line where it's safe. And that is all of the books that I got this holiday season. I'm really looking forward to reading all of these. I don't know if I'll get to all of them this year, but I'm hoping to. I've set several goals that I will probably talk about in an upcoming video. Not probably, I will talk about them in an upcoming video. But I definitely want to get to at least a few of these this year. Maybe not the Count of Monte Cristo. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for this chunk. But we'll see. But yeah, so thanks for watching, and if you liked it, yay! That's the goal. Yeah, feel free to leave a comment if you have any thoughts on any of these books. I'd love to hear it, especially if you've read any of the Nicholas Kaufman stuff, Die and Stay Dead, or the other one, Dying is My Business, or if you've read any of his other books and you want to recommend them to me. I'd appreciate that too. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you in another video. Bye!